Welcome to the Money Mindful podcast, where money mindset and life coach Meaghan Jean Smith, hey, that's me, teaches you how to transform your relationship to money and achieve your life goals so you can live a glorious, magnificent, delicious, awesome life and love being you. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Money Mindful podcast. I'm your host, Meaghan Jean Smith. So good to be here with you today. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Sydney. Just enjoying the sunshine and watching the birds through my window. I'm sure I must have mentioned this to you before. I have a native Australian tree out the front of our house and we get lots of beautiful birds. Sometimes if I'm lucky, I'll see some gorgeous rosellas. Often it's just honey eaters, I think they are. Anyway, this isn't a bird show. Let's get into it. So before we get into the meat and veg, I just wanted to let you know that if you are really enjoying the show, you love hanging out with me here every week, I wanted to let you know that there's other ways to hang out with me too, to deepen the connection. So are you on social media? Do you want to hang out with me on Instagram? If you're on Instagram, come play. My handle is Meaghan J Smith. So it's MEAGHAN J Smith, SMITH. I'm mainly on Instagram. I've got a presence on Facebook, but to be honest, I'm not really hanging out on Facebook all the time. If you want to get into my DMs and if you want to really connect with me and engage, Instagram is the place to hang out. And then if you want to really get submerged into my world, you got to get on my email list because that's what I consider my community, my people. I email my community every week and that's where I feel like I really create a deep connection with you. And if you want to receive those emails with me and be connected with me in that way, the only way you can get on my email list at the moment, I think, is by signing up to one of my freebies. So it's even double bonus for you because if you sign up to one of my freebies, you get my freebie. So you get my mini course. That is bloody good, by the way, if I do say so myself. Are you allowed to say that about your own free resources? I don't know, but I'm going to say it. It's really good. It's a 3-day training that gets delivered to your inbox where I take you through a process, a step-by-step process. I coach you through it on how to create your money and life goals. So you've got a process that you can follow, and I do that for free for you. And when you sign up to that, you get on my email list. So go and get that and hang out with me or come and hang out with me on Instagram. I love interacting with people on Instagram. I am a social being. I'm not one of those people who's like, ooh, don't contact me. I'm delighted to engage in conversation with you. So come hang out with me there. All right. Do you feel like progress is slow on creating your goals? This is a common thing, yeah? Sometimes we're working towards something and it just feels slow. We want to be at our goal like yesterday or last year, in my case. So I want to help you today with what to do if progress feels slow. I want to give you some practical insight into why it might feel like progress is slow, how you might be slowing yourself down, and what you can do about it. So one of the first things that is a real obstacle when we feel like progress is slow is that we're not staying in our own lane, right? You're not staying in your own lane. Now, what do I mean by that? It's you're getting into compare and despair and you're trying to walk somebody else's path. And whenever you do that, that will for sure slow you down and it will for sure make you feel like things are going slow, right? So you're unique, okay? The way that your brain works, the things that resonate with you are going to be different to those around you. They're going to be different to your mentors, your coaches, me, right? We're different people. And one of the things that I see, and I've done it myself, is we try to get in somebody else's lane. We try to follow somebody else's path and somebody else's method. And when we do that progress we slow right down, because what we saw that worked for that person, or what you see that might work for me, is not necessarily going to work for you, because it doesn't suit your personality, your values, and your strengths and your weaknesses, right? And so when we try to do things the way that somebody else has done them and follow their pathway, what happens is we get off our own pathway. And when you're not on your own pathway, you're not going to get to your destination. So what you can do is really bring yourself back to your own journey, your own pathway, your own way. And this requires that you tune into yourself and who you are, your unique strengths and weaknesses. I mean, this is something that I do with my clients. It's beyond the scope of this episode, but this is a thing that is really common that will slow you down. It's when you try to achieve somebody else's success, right? And also, when you're trying to achieve success in the way that somebody else is doing it, it's going to feel so slow, because you're going to be watching them doing it the way that works for them, and they're going to be taking off like a rocket because they're following their path, staying in their lane, doing their journey. And when we compare ourselves to others, that's when it just feels slow, right? But it's because you're not following the path that you're meant to be following. So that's number one. Number two, when progress feels slow, or when you're not reaching your goals in the time that you'd like to reach them, quite often it's because there's a lesson that you haven't learned yet, right? There's just something that, like a life lesson or literally a skill-based lesson that you might need in your business, for instance, that you don't have yet. Like maybe you haven't learned that yet. So one thing that you can ask yourself, like when you're not reaching your goals in the time frame that you'd like to reach them in, you can ask yourself, what's the lesson I need to learn here? And that lesson might be something like learning to stay in my own lane. Right? Gotcha. Come on. I know you can relate to this. So that's a really helpful question that you can just ask yourself, like, what lesson do I need to learn here? Or is there a skill gap, right? You know, like so often when I've been going for my goals, I feel so impatient. I want to get there. And when I finally do get there, I realize that I wasn't ready, right? I wasn't ready to be there because there was some life lessons that I needed to learn. Okay. That's kind of annoying. And if I knew how to just plug in the life lessons into your brain, I totally would do that for you, but I don't. And I go through this myself, but that's an indicator. Like sometimes when we feel like progress is slow, it's like, okay, what do I need to learn here? Right? Like there's a lesson that still needs to be learned. And that could be literally a literal physical, like skill-based lesson, or it could be a life lesson, you know, like something intangible. All right. Number 3 is, are you meeting your basic needs? Now, this might seem like a bit of a strange one, but have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy? I'm sure you probably have. But basically it's like this pyramid, like this hierarchy of needs, and the base level is our basic needs, right? Like shelter, sleep, food. And, you know, for us who live in a first world country, that can seem like a strange thing to say, but actually for many of us, especially mums, right? For those mums of you who are listening, sometimes our basic needs are not being met. Thank you very much, right? Like, being woken up by your kids in the middle of the night, or not getting time to yourself, or being just so busy, you're not eating the right foods, or maybe you've got, I don't know, a really uncomfortable mattress that needs replacing. These things seem like they're not connected to our goals, but they actually are, right? When you don't have your basic needs met, it will slow you down because you're not able to operate at capacity. And I've spoken to you about this on the podcast before, where I've mentioned things, like life lessons that I've learned when I realized that I wasn't taking care of myself. I was putting my goals and everything ahead of my own personal health and well-being, right? And that stuff slows you down. I mean, I'm sure that when I'm saying this to you intellectually, it makes so much sense. I mean, of course, if we're, getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, exercising, we have more energy. But when we're in the thick of it, when we're trying to build a business or, go for that new big thing that you want to do in your life, it can feel like we are walking backwards sometimes. And one of the reasons why could be that you actually don't have your basic needs met, right? Like you might be burnt out. You might be, have too many things on the go. You might not have the support that you need. And when I say that, it might simply be something like, maybe you need a house cleaner, right? Or, like there's things like that. We sort of end up doing things the hard way. Our basic needs aren't being met. And then we wonder why we can't achieve our goals. So that's something really important to look out for. Let's go to number 4. Okay. So do you have the current capacity to hold the space for what you're trying to create? This is a tricky one. Okay. So for example, there's some stuff that I'm creating in my business right now. I'm wanting to create new ways that you can work with me, not just one-on-one. And I have been dreaming about this, marinating on this for a long time. And often I get frustrated with myself and just feel like I'm moving too slow and I want to progress faster. But if I'm going to be really truthful and honest with you, which I am, even though like I feel naked whenever I start getting into this sort of stuff with you on the podcast, I have not been ready to do these things that I want to do. Right? Because the stuff that I want to do in my business requires that I have more support set up in my business and more systems set up, which I haven't had set up. So I actually haven't had the capacity within my business foundations to hold the space for the new things that I've wanted to do. Like the foundational processes in my business, like automating things, and they haven't been at the capacity to hold the space to create new things to offer, right? It's like you might want to work with more people in your business, but you don't have the space to be able to have more people, and that those more people in your business equals more income, right? So it's like you've got this goal, you want to make more income, but the way that you want to go about doing that, the way that works for you in your business, you've decided you want to get more clients or whatever it is, but you're not actually set up for that. Right? I mean, these are things that we can beat ourselves up about. We can make ourselves wrong. We can sort of have all this negative self-talk. But when you really dive in and create awareness around it and look at it, it can be because we actually just don't have the capacity for it yet. Now, when I say don't have the capacity for it, that could be the mindset capacity, like you've actually got some mindset work you need to do, or it could be skill-based stuff or things that you need to be able to do that. Right? So, for example, like if you were going to buy an investment property or something, there's stuff that you got to get organized in your personal finances when you're doing that, things that you need to get cleaned up, with, like if you've got lots of consumer debt or whatever, like they might be things that you need to actually handle before you're eligible to be able to get a loan, right? So that's what I mean. There's sometimes it can just be stuff in real life that you need to do. You don't have the capacity for it yet, or it can be mindset stuff as well. Okay, so finally, number 5, success can feel boring. There, I said it. When you're going for a goal in your business or like a passive investment goal, for instance, once you're in the beginning, it's all exciting. It's like, woo, 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 yeah, we're going for this new goal, right? Like we get all the adrenaline rush. It feels really exciting. But once we get into it and we're in the bread and butter of creating the goal, it can actually feel quite boring. Right? It can feel repetitive. We can get distracted. We can want to do other things. We can compare ourselves to other people. We can look at the new shiny object syndrome. And that stuff can slow you down because it's not exciting to just put money in an investment fund every month. Right? You're not going to do anything with that money until you retire. And so it's boring. And so then it can feel like going for your goals feels so slow because you're just like, oh, it won't matter this one time if I don't put the money in. Like I'd much rather just go and spend the money on that new outfit. Like, no joke. Seriously, success can feel boring. And that's a weird thing to get your head around, don't you think? But when we deviate from our plans and we don't stay consistent with taking action towards what we're trying to create, that is when progress can also feel slow. And I mean, progress can feel slow even when you're going fast towards your goals. But because we're doing the same thing and we're not getting this big sort of hit, this rush of an amazing new thing that's happened because we're plodding along, we're just doing the work required to get to the goal, we can make challenges for ourselves or decide that we're going to do something else. And in the long run, that can slow us down. So in summary, if you feel like progress is slow, these are some areas that you might want to look at. Okay? Stay in your lane. Don't compare yourself with other people. Right? Number 2, what lesson do I need to learn? Like, is there a life lesson there that you need to learn? Number 3, like, are you meeting your basic needs? This one's so important. I probably should have put this at number 1. Number 4, do you have the current capacity to hold the space for the goal that you're actually going for? Right? And number 5, success can feel boring. And it's very easy to get distracted by shiny new things, which is going to slow you down and get you off track towards your goal. All right, my dear, I hope that has helped you today. I totally have complete compassion for you if it feels like progress is slow, because I can totally relate as well in my own life. But these 5 little golden nuggets I've shared with you today, I really hope that helps you and gives you some comfort and some wisdom that you can lean on to keep progressing towards your goal. Where did I hear it? I can't remember. Progress over perfection. I don't know who actually coined that. I've heard it from lots of people, but I like it. I think it's pretty good. Progress over perfection. Just keep taking the next step. And you know what? Slow progress is better than no progress. Sometimes it can feel slow, but actually it's not really. We're really doing amazing stuff. I know you're doing amazing stuff, and just keep going. Just keep going. You got this. All right. Until I'm in your ears again next week, have an amazing week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Money Mindful podcast. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe. Ready to take the next steps? Creating your money and life goals can be super challenging if you don't have a process to follow. Get my free course that will help you get unstuck, clarify your goals, and get you going. For more info, go to meaghanjsmith.au.